Hey guys, Nuie here, and back once again. So this is the second portion of my streamer-inspired builds. So as you guys remember, in the 2.6 patch, I did have a Sunder King build, or a Sunder build. I referred to it as my God of War build. That is the build I made the farthest on in the game, so I'm very, very comfortable with Sunder as a skill. So that build actually, my God of War build actually led me up to tier 10s from my literally the night of patch, before the patch was going to be released. I got down and just started spamming out maps to see how high I could get. I actually ended up hitting tier 10s. So, I could not for the life of me get any tier 11s, tier 12s, anything like that to drop for me. So the highest I made it was tier 10 as far as the God of War previous iteration. So as I was hanging out on some Twitch, as I am avid to do in my downtime, which is usually like my lunchtime or my dinner time, anytime that I'm out of game basically is my downtime, and I'm not working out or anything or dealing with family stuff or anything like that. That's my downtime. So I usually head over to Twitch, hang out in some people's streams, talk about stuff, and I was as I previously was, I was talking to Sybil Q, which developed my Lightning Strike build, which is my previous episode, which came out yesterday. But today I'm talking about, I was talking to another streamer by the name of Aluna. So, I was hanging out on her stream, and she's new to the game, and she was running a Sunder build with a 200X. So, I decided to bring back my Sunder build for 3.0 once again. I didn't really fully want to do another Sunder build, because I wanted to try out some new skills. But I guess thinking about it, I should really focus on a skill that I'm comfortable with, as well as, I already know I could get deep into content with. So it'll be smarter for me overall, because I'll be able to reach endgame content on this build for sure, and then I'll know that I can kind of farm currency on it and stuff like that. Because again, all these builds I make are actually pretty expensive. Like not really expensive, like it's not like special items that you need or anything like that, but it's kind of just the cost of actually crafting gear and stuff like that, and I need to be able to fund that. So I do kind of need a build that'll be able to do that. So she's new to the game, so I decided to throw out a Sunder build helpful to her. I did tweak this a little bit. Formerly, I was running a one-handed axe with a shield Sunder build, but I've decided to change that, and I will only be running a two-handed axe build. I already picked up a nice axe. Already just from my witch, doing endgame maps and stuff like that, and using some ancient shards and stuff like that. I picked up some nice weapons, so I'm already pretty set for it. It's already 5 linked, so I'm actually pretty happy about that. But yeah, heading into the build, Sunder is a melee attack with a it does attack damage, AoE, and melee damage. So it is a melee attack and only works on an axe, mace, or staff. And the way the ability works is that you do initial melee attack, and that melee attack creates a wave that travels forward and damages enemies in a straight line. The skill does 0.5 increased area effect damage per quality, as well as deals 140 to 181% of base damage. Shockwave deals 60% less damage and 15% less attack speed. There's a plus 0 to 6 radius, so increases in radius can help with that. So I never dual wielded with Sunder itself. Since only the main-handed weapon is used to attack, dual wielding with Sunder is very inefficient. So I've always thought that if I'm going to be dual wielding, I'm going to be using Sunder. It's either going to be a two-handed weapon or a one-handed and shield. So this 3.0 build, I decided to go with two-hander. So you can pick this skill up at level 12 also, so I will talk about what I actually use to level up to that point beforehand, but yeah, heading over to my skill tree now, so I can show you guys all of that and everything that's involved with that. So once again, we are back here in Path to Building. As you guys can see, once again, all of my builds that are coming up and that haven't been released, and as well as some of the builds that you guys have already seen. So, heading over here, we got my Aluna Sunder build right here, and this will be my champion, just the same way as I did last patch. So, starting out, we will go ahead down to my champion, which is my duelist. So we're heading over here into our champion grid. So we're running inspirational, first to strike, last to fall. Unstoppable hero, as well as fortitude. So this portion of the tree is very, very huge, because it gives me permanent fortify, and fortify, as far as my build is concerned, is a huge portion of it. Not only just damage, it also gives me a large amount of reduction. Fortify, and it also makes it so I don't have to run a fortify support. I will have permanent fortify just from my cruel lab. So the first thing I'll do is just run unstoppable hero, which gives me increased attack speed while I have fortify, increased armor and evasion, increased melee damage while I have fortify. So up until I get to cruel, I will have to use a fortify support, which sucks. But you know, it still gives a nice damage increase, so it's not a big deal. But I just prefer not to use fortify. And then once I hit that cruel, I'll end over here and grab fortify, which gives me 20% reduced damage taken from hits from fortify. So I'll get 15% increased armor and evasion rating, 14% increased melee damage, 15% increased armor evasion, and 14%. So I'm getting a large amount of resist or armor or defenses. There we go. That's the word. Defenses just from grabbing fortify. And then I'll head up here and grab once again more attack speed, armor evasion, and then increased damage while not on low life, and then increased armor and evasion while on low life. Anytime I get on low life, my elemental elements are automatically removed. So that'll be like a freeze or a ignite or shock. Things like that will automatically be removed. This, however, does not remove things like poisoning or bleeding. However, that's not really necessary. You can pretty much just get flasks, and it's almost mandatory to run flasks that remove bleeding or poison. Well, mostly bleeding. Poison can kind of be dealt with, but bleeding can be a little bit. It can be a pretty big issue. Especially if you don't have enough leech quite yet. Bleeding can kind of kill you pretty quickly. So I definitely have this, and also as the increased damage from intimidating enemies whenever they're on full life, and that's just hitting them. And then the last thing I'll get is just inspirational, which just does increase 35% increased damage, and then any nearby allies will also get the 35% increased damage as well as movement speed. So it's nice for party play. And then I just the extra evasion armor and stuff like that. So that's what my ascendancy will look like, and those are the nodes I will be taking. Now, heading into the skill tree, I will be starting out with attack speed. Typically, it's kind of an odd thought to think to not start with the melee damage, especially because it's a melee ability. But I actually prefer to be able to attack faster with this build, especially Sunder itself. So I instead take the attack speed. I head down through the attack speed. I grab my armor evasion ring from here. And then I grab some extra mana and extra intelligence from here. I'm also grabbing the increased evasion, increased armor. This removes my armor movement penalties from my armor, so I can move very quickly regardless. And then I'm getting attack speed from there, as well as dexterity. And then grabbing bravery, which gives me 24% increased armor, as well as extra life. I'm grabbing these whole nodes. I'm also grabbing all of these nodes, which is mana flows, which gives me 40% increased mana regen. 16% increased mana and 20 intelligence. First off, the stat that you're going to be missing in this build, unfortunately, is intelligence. So you kind of need an intelligence necklace. But that's all you have to do. So you can still run a physical damage belt or anything like that. But intelligence is a little bit low, so you'll end up running an intelligence necklace or master crafting some intelligence onto a piece of your gear, and then you'll be set. But continuing on, we get Master of the Arena, so we get the increased melee weapon and unarmed range, as well as some extra melee damage and some strength and life regen. And then I'm heading down here and grabbing this whole ring in the destroyer node, so all the physical damage, all the attack speed, accuracy rating, and increased damage, as well as the increased attack speed. And then I will be heading down here, grabbing Golem's Blood, so more life, more life regens, things like that. And then also I branched off a little bit so I can grab the Cloth and Chain, so all the elemental res, as well as increased armor and evasion rating. Heading down, I'm grabbing all of the damage from axes. Again, I'll be focusing on axes, so I get the increased damage from axes, as well as increased life leech from axes and stuff like that from this ring. And then I'm grabbing both of all of the Executioner and Wrecking Ball two-handed damage abilities, so I'll get both of those, which is a whole bunch of attack speed, as well as physical damage with two-handed weapons. And then I'm grabbing all of the Rampart, which is based off of Fortify. So it basically adds more armor while Fortify, more melee damage while I'm Fortify, longer increased effect of Fortify. Now that increased effect doesn't particularly matter once I hit Cruel Lab, because I'll have permanent Fortify, but it's there. But also increased damage with ailments from this. I'm also grabbing but yeah, like as I said, all these durations don't particularly matter much once I have permanent Fortify, but the increased damage is definitely the higher portion of that. Heading up, I'm grabbing the Bloodless, so enemies cannot leech life from me. I'm also grabbing just extra max life from there. I'm heading up and grabbing Juggernaut, so increased armor, increased maximum life, increased recovery from my flasks, as well as both of the cleaving trees as well as slaughter trees, so increased damage with axes and stuff like that. And that also lets me have onslaught on kill, so onslaught increases my attack speed and cast speed even more, and movement speed, so that's nice. And then I'm grabbing just the extra physical damage from here and all of this, and then the bleed chance is nice, but I'm not really focusing heavily onto bleed DPS, but a little bit of bleed is always nice. And then I'm heading up here and grabbing Barbarism, so extra fire res, as well as all res just from 2, and then extra health from that. And then I'm heading through the all res tree. Instead of heading through here, I'm heading through the all res tree. So I'm grabbing all of Diamond Skin as well as all of these 3. So I'm getting 27% all res from here, as well as some extra armor. And then heading up through Warrior's Blood, some more life regen, more strength. Heading up through Heart of Warrior, so I'm grabbing more life, more strength, and then I'm also grabbing the versatility, so increased attack speed, dexterity, intelligence, nice amount of that, and reduced mana cost of my skills. I'm also grabbing Born to Fight, so increased melee physical damage, increased strength, accuracy rating, increased melee attack speed, and then I'm grabbing Butchery. I'm not grabbing this node of Butchery. I would have liked to, but Butchery is the actual important portion of this, so I made sure to grab that. Lastly, I'm heading through up here and grabbing Sentinel, so I'm getting the increased armor evasion as well as extra L-res, and I'm also grabbing these all-res from the Scion tree, so I'm getting another 28% all-res from here, as well as grabbing the extra attack speed from Berserking, as well as finishing off with the extra life node here. Which is Constitution and all the Path of Warrior stuff. Now, I said that's the kind of skill tree, but that will not actually be how I plan out the build. I will switch it up a little bit later. I'll probably grab the majority of my health nodes and only grab some of the damage nodes initially, and then as I start to hit maps and stuff like that, I'll start to fill in more damage, because it's actually more intelligent to run your res, grab all your reses and grab all your health, and then you can just start filling in damage afterwards. Damage is not as much important as survivability, so I definitely will grab that. But this is how my total tree would end out on like a max level character. But I will catch you guys later in terms of build midways as well as build reviews in terms of how this build and how I actually spanned out the tree, and I will show it to you guys then. But this is everything involved with my new 3.0 God of War Sunder build. So this is everything that I have and everything involved here. Once again, running the champion ascendancy for duelists and everything here. So this is the whole skill tree and everything involved with it. Once again, this build was inspired by Aluna. Well, her full name on Twitch is Aluna So you guys can definitely head over there and check out her build and her gameplay and everything she does on her channel over there. I will leave a link for that in the description below. But it's really fun creating builds like this, and I definitely wouldn't mind doing more kind of inspired builds for newer players. So I believe on my main portion of my channel, there is my YouTube email, so you guys can send me messages in there regarding like any type of build as a new player, any type of build you want me to make, and I'll definitely wouldn't mind doing that for some new players. Now, I'm not gonna say I'm the best player, but it's basically an idea. It helps you guys get an idea of how to play, and I know as a new player this skill tree can be daunting. For me itself, it wasn't totally daunting. I took it as actually super exciting to see all the build possibilities, and that's why I enjoy theory crafting so much. And I hope you guys enjoy this series too, because I put a lot of work into it, and I really try to develop builds that I really hope will be able to clear endgame content. Again, every single build I create, I will definitely try to hit at least tier 10s on every single one of them. So that is my goal. The last thing I wanted to cover was sockets. Once again, this is another one of my builds that doesn't really include sockets. However, it does have several ports where you can switch out points and be able to grab sockets. So you could definitely grab sockets. There's physical damage sockets here, there's 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 sockets here. So there's plenty of places where you can modify this build and be able to grab some extra jewel sockets very easily without changing the major portions of this build. So that's everything involved with it. Heading over to items and calcs. Now, this is not the actual axe I have, but again, this is like the axe I looked at. It's in a series favor. This is very heavy damage axe. It's got a lot of physical damage, which is what you need, a lot of attack speed, and some extra weapon range. So that's kind of the type of axe you're going to be kind of looking for. I also just looking at the abysses, just extra melee crit as well as physical damage. This also gives me attributes, so that always helps out, because again, this build is lacking a little bit in intelligence. And then I was looking at cherubims and just random stuff for extra life leech. But these are not the exact items you'll need, but again, you'll be running armor and evasion, and it's got a nice amount of life. It's got about 170% increased life chance, 204% increased evasion, 268% increased armor, and that's not counting fortify or anything like that. That's just from the build itself. So, and then it's got a nice amount of reses already, and then you'll have extra reses on top of that. The only thing it's lacking really is chaos res and intelligence, but you can always deal with that pretty well. You have a nice leech rate and stuff like that, so you should be fine as far as that. Heading over to the calcs, the majority of your damage is physical, so you'll pretty much be able to burst bosses very easily, because bosses typically have resistance to elemental damage as well as chaos damage, so physical damage is the ideal hit. So this, unless you have elemental pen, so because this build is so heavily focused on physical damage, you don't really have any issues dealing with bosses or anything like that. And then you'll get a little bit of cold and fire damage from, added fire damage support, as well as Herald of Ash and Hatred. Oh, that's what I skipped. That's what I forgot to cover. Heading over to my skill gems, I will be running Sunder, as well as melee physical damage, multi-strike, ruthless, added fire damage, and concentrated effects. Now, I already have a 5-link, so my 5-link will look like this. Will be melee, physical damage, multi-strike, ruthless, and added fire. And then whenever I get a 6-link, I'll get concentrated effect on top of that. And then I'm also running a 6-link or starting out 4-link Ancestral Protector for the increased attack speed from that. So I'll get Ancestral Protector, faster attacks, added fire damage, melee physical damage, and that'll be mine. I will most likely swap out melee physical damage for increased duration, or added fire damage for increased duration, because once again that suits my playstyle. But as I finish out the 6-link, I'll get increased duration and ruthless to finish out the 6-link of that. Heading into buffs, I'll be doing Herald of Ash as well as Hatred for 15% of my physical damage is fire damage, and then 30 to 40% of my physical damage is cold damage. So that would be nice for my 2 buffs. I'll be running a Flame Golem. Wow, I forgot to add anything to that. So probably just, my typical like golem health, golem minion life. Probably, yeah, just hold on, I'll just fill that in right now. Minion life and minion damage. Wow. Minion damage, and then minion probably resist. Will probably be this. Probably be that final lock. I'll be running Leap Slam as well as Molten Shell, which is my Molten Shell, Curse on Hit, Punishment, Increased Duration. So, and then Leap Slam just has faster attacks. So, it should all work, right? Because Sunder on my X, Flame Golem, or not Flame Golem, Ancestral Protector on my chest, Herald of Ash on the same thing, Flame Golem on boots, Molten Punishment on gloves, Leap Slam on my helmet with faster attacks, and then Herald of Ash and Hatred. Yep, it'll all work. So, this is all set up, and this is everything I'll be running. So I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of my build theory, and I hope you guys are sure to leave your comments. Also, head over to Aluna's stream and give her a shout out, say Nuie sent you, and catch up to any of her content and everything she does. So I'm gonna head out, I'm gonna do some gaming. I'll catch you all later. Nuie out.
Heaven sent my residence, it's evident, just visiting, blending.